We've got good weather, so we're going to have good football, hopefully. And I've got to say, certainly over the 3-4 weeks that we've had football, I've watched 2 terrific games, and they've both been in Division 2. I thought last week was absolutely brilliant. Ramsey Youth Centre against Uni Mills had everything about it, similar to the game when I watched at the Bowl, which was Malou against Oncombe. But what I'm looking about in Canada Life is FC Isle of Man played last week, so a lot of clubs were missing players. Those players will come back to their clubs. It'll be interesting to just see how many actually start again. I don't think there'll be a problem, but this is the first test, I think, of the managers, because the managers have got big decisions now to make. If the team has won and some players have played exceptionally well, what can they do? So I'll leave that with them.
Well, what would you do in that situation?
I think some managers have done it absolutely spot on. What they've done is they've sat down with all the players and just said, if we're going to lose some players to FC Isle of Man, where do we stand when the FC Isle of Man players become available again? From what I'm hearing, certainly from my club, was that the manager picks his best team. And credit to the players for having that attitude, because, it's not the players' fault. The fixture came, it had to be played at that weekend. So they've gone away and played and come back. But I'm pretty certain that it'll sort itself out. But this is all the little things that clubs now have got to start learning when they lose players.
I can understand the tensions that will come with that, but I do think that if you're going to take on competitive sport, you've got to be able to take the fact that the best team should be played. And if that means that you're benched, then I guess FC Isle of Man gives you a really good opportunity to get better and aspire to make that starting lineup every time.
Yeah, 100%. And, that's what the players are going to do, because they're battling to get into that FC Isle of Man squad, and they're also battling to stay in the FC Isle of Man squad. So, it's a win-win, I think, for the clubs, and also it's a win-win for the FC Isle of Man. So it's just, if I was a manager, I would have a sleepless night tonight.
It's tricky. Yeah.
It really is tricky, but they're grown men and see what happens. Some people will accept it, and others will need an arm around them and talking to them. But tomorrow there's some really good games. I think the one that Paul's going to send me to is St Mary's against St George's down at the Bowl. St Mary's will welcome back Jack McVeigh and also Frank Jones, as well as St George's. 3 or 4 will come back, but I think 2 may be injured, because I know Sean Quay and Callum Morrissey both picked up injuries last weekend. But it gives the opportunity to Johnny Myers to bring some younger players in, because they're littered with quality in the combination. Yes, they're only 16, 17, 18 years of age, but get them in, give them a go, because it's all good
They're going
experience
to have to learn at some point.
Of course they have, and some of the young players now that have come into the senior setup, and a few years ago, players still were playing at 35ish, but now there aren't many. A lot of them are sort of coming out of it because they're having families. But I think that'll be a good game at the Bowl. The other one I'm sort of looking at is Peel against Ramsey. The reason why you'd normally say, well, this is going to be a comfortable victory for Peel. But when you look at the league table, Ramsey are above them. And I think Anthony Cooper's side have done really well picking up the points against the teams that they needed to, the points around them, as well with Peel dogged by injury. I think it's near enough a full team now. 8-9 who've been struggling. And Steve Faulkner just will be looking tonight to see what players are fit, what can play. And if he needs to bring the younger players in, which he has done so far, they've never let him down. But unfortunately, you need goal scorers. And when you've got 2 of the best on the island in Lee Gale and Rhys Oates not there, then it's always going to be difficult to fill those positions. But I think Peel should get the victory against Ramsey.
Also in the Prem, Douglas Royal versus Douglas Old Boys. What are you expecting?
Looking at the league table, you'd probably say this will be close, but I just think at the moment there's things going on at Old Boys, positive things. Jack Townsend, as we all know, he's loved by everyone in Manx football. He's had a tough time. He's still away in UK, but by all accounts is improving big time. And I think a few of the old guard at Old Boys have just taken this on board, and they've come back in. They've trained this week, and it'd be interesting just to see what side Tommy Miller puts out. But I'm delighted because I think some of these players, they're only 31, 32. I won't name them because I don't know which ones are going to play out of it. But 31, 32, and to sort of look back and just say, listen, we can help our club out here in a difficult time. Let's do it, and let's do it for Jack, which is absolutely brilliant. and certainly against Douglas Royal, they've got to be careful of that, because Royal have lost 2 or 3 players over the last couple of weeks to university. There might be another one to go as well. That won't help things. So there's a little bit more pressure on Michael Fitzmaurice to try and get something out of this result. And I think up at Ballyfletcher, it could be a tough afternoon for him.
Who would you put your money on?
I'm going to go for Old Boys. I just think at the moment there's a lot of belief in that club, and I think it needed to sort itself out, because, players have just, done enough, and now they've got a purpose, and the purpose is for Jack.
The epitome of a team.
Yeah, definitely.
We've also got Aire versus Russian.
Yeah, I think, again, another good battle. Russian be really disappointed last week. I saw Stevie Priestnell's goal, and I tell you what, Dean Kearns, if he'd have been in sticks, would have struggled to stop that one. They've dropped points, but, they've still got a strong enough team there to cause a massive sort of pressure, if you like, at the top of the table. And I think against Aire United, even though it's a tighter pitch, it's not a nice pitch to play on up there, because Russians is a lot wider, flatter. But I think Liam Cowan will be looking for 1 or 2 players who maybe were injured last week, be able to come back in, and with the boys coming back as well from duty with FC Isle of Man, I think it'll put them in good stead, and I think they'll beat Aire. 2
more in the Prem. We've got Corinthians versus St John's.
Corinthians, over recent years, last couple of years, have had good fortune against St John's, and I think it was the one up at Ballyfletcher, what was it, something like 9-2. Corinthians scored a shed load of goals in the first half. Second half, St John's tightened it up and did really well. St John's, again, who are lacking a goal scorer, so we'll find out tomorrow who they're going to play up front. But Corinthians played really well last week in parts, but, Moran took the game to them and they had to be careful. But Blaine Slattery's got 6 players coming back, so 6 first teamers. Interesting to see how he mixes that in. But I think Corinthians against Callum Taggart's team will just be too strong for them.
And speaking of Moran, they take on Leixlip tomorrow. Yeah,
Johnny Palmer. I was speaking to Johnny today, and Johnny's not a happy boy. I don't blame him, really, because I think he's lost 4-5 to university. Joel Walters leaving do last night. He's a star player for them. By all accounts, he wasn't a star performer last night, about 10:30, 11 o'clock when he went home.
I can imagine.
But hopefully he's got over that one. But Moran will take a lot from last week's game. They played really well against Corinthians. Second half performance as well. I believe Cameron Avery was immense at the back. The goalkeeper as well kept things good. But I just think still Leixlip have got enough to beat Moran. But if Moran could get something out of this, it give them a massive lift, because there's a right old tussle going on at the bottom of that Canada Life Premier League.
Now, we might not be able to talk through all of the leagues, so we'll jump to Combi 1, and if we've got time at the end of the show, we'll come back to the others. So in Combi 1, we've got Ramsey versus Peel.
I think Peel midweek, they won 4-3 against St John's. Tight result, that one, but again, some lot of young players in there. Sam Brown will be happy with their performance. Ramsey, don't know much about Ramsey's combination, but certainly if it's mirroring the first team, littered with quality young players, and this could be a great little battle, depending on what Peel's first team is like, strength to strength. But I think Peel should just have enough to get another 3 points like midweek.
Douglas Old Boys versus Douglas Royal.
Going to go for Old Boys purely because Royal now are raiding the combination to bring them into the first team, which is making the combination a little bit light. Kevin Ballard's still there. Sorry, Kev, if I've upset you, 38, 39.
You love age dropping.
Well, I do. And he's scoring goals as well, and he doesn't score tap-ins. He's a worldie. So with Kev there, he could maybe get the goals to get the points away from Old Boys. Again, if Old Boys play these players tomorrow, if they don't play in the first team, I think you'll see them play in the combi, and if they do, I think Old Boys could have a really strong result, but I don't know team news, so at the moment I'm going to stick my neck out and go for Old Boys.
We've got a mirror image from the Premier League as Russian take on Aire.
Yeah, I think Russian will be too strong for them. Again, Russian have got good youth in there, but also experience. I think Andrew Moody's still playing, and there are other good players in there as well. With Aire United, another glut of good young players coming through. They'll make a right good battle, and I think Russian will take the points.
St John's versus Corinthians.
Corinthians flying, undefeated. Players stepped up last week, played in the first team and played really well. Adam McCulloch, maybe, I don't know the news, will drop back in, and Adam's on fire, scoring plenty of goals, as well as St John's. Great result midweek. Kieran Brock scored 2. I heard he got 2 bookings, but he got the red in the end. Whether that's 100%, I don't know. If he did, he'll still be allowed to play because it was midweek. But disappointment for him.
Why is that rule
It
different?
takes about a week. It takes about a week to go through. So because he played midweek, he's all right. Any player that gets sent off tomorrow will probably miss the following week. It just depends how the FA system does it. But the man at the moment, and to me, he's flying. Hat-trick 2 weeks ago, and I work with him, so I've been told I've got to big him up. And he scored one midweek. So congratulations to Liam Sale, because he's a first-team player, and for whatever reason, he's been playing in the combination. And he's just saying to Callum, look at me, I could do it. So whether Liam's worth a run in the first team, I don't know, but 4 goals in 2, it's got to be worth a look at.
Flaunt it, yeah.
Go for it, sail it.
And we've got Moran versus Leixlip, which is another mirror image to the Prem.
Yeah, it is. And again, with this one, I just wonder what sort of team Leixlip have got out in here. But Leixlip played really well under 18s midweek, Gary Crittenden's team. I won't say scraped a result, but 1-0, so it's tight. And I just think with a lot of those players in this team, in this game, will just have enough to beat Moran.